This is the new Moza R3, one of the coolest Xbox accessories right now. It's one of the cheapest direct drive steering wheels that you can buy, and it is officially licensed for the Xbox Series S and X. Right, so the steering wheel has just arrived, and I'm super excited to check this product out. I seen it back at Gamescom around a year ago now, where it got announced, and I tried it out, and I was absolutely flabbergasted by the size of this thing. So usually when you get a steering wheel, obviously they're absolutely massive, so it takes up loads of space, whether that be on an actual dedicated simulator, or of course just packing it up, like putting it on a table or a little pop-up stand. This obviously resolves that issue with it being incredibly small and compact, so you can pack it away if you're not using it all of the time. But in addition to this, it's still super powerful, so there isn't like a penalization in terms of the performance in regards to the size. You're getting a direct drive steering wheel that's absolutely tiny. Come on. Now, of course, we can mount this to a racing simulator, which we will do later on in the video, but I first actually want to try this out mounted to a desk. Something as small as the R3 is obviously going to be something that you're going to maybe pack down on a frequent basis. That's one of the advantages of obviously going for a smaller wheelbase like this. You can just see I'm like throwing it around with one hand, like carefree. So for these purposes, a table clamp is included inside of the box, and it's very high quality. It's actually built out of metal, which is a surprise because most budget steering wheels actually have a plastic table clamp that isn't the best. This table clamp is also angled to make the steering wheel much more comfortable to use, so that's pretty cool to see. Right, so we've now got the wheel set up, and it took a matter of minutes really. We installed the table clamp onto it. Now the table clamp is actually very high quality. It's almost like a metal table clamp that I also think doubles up for basically angling the wheel if you wanted to attach it to a racing simulator, because some racing simulators don't have much adjustability to them, so it gives you that flexibility if you wanted to do it. Now, as you can see, the wheelbase itself is absolutely tiny, but it's incredibly powerful at obviously 3.9 Newton meters. Now, the diameter of the wheel, you could describe it as a bit of a toy because obviously it's tiny in comparison to a real car, but I think there's actually a bit of strategy behind this. Because you've got the tiny wheelbase with the 3.9 Newton meters of torque, then obviously you've got the smaller circumference wheel. I think that makes the perceived amount of power from the wheelbase feel significantly higher than if you had a wider diameter wheel that's super wide. I think you'll maybe lose a bit of the translation of the force within that bigger wheelbase. It maybe centers it a little bit more, so it feels much more aggressive. Now, when it comes to the actual build quality of the steering wheel, it isn't made out of real leather or anything crazy, but it is constructed out of aluminium and has this interesting rubber texture surrounding the wheel rim. But to the touch, it still feels fairly comfortable, and unlike some cheaper steering wheels, it isn't discarding anything onto my hands. I've had some cheap steering wheels in the past from some competitor products where it's got this rubber style texture on there, and when you're racing and sweating, it comes off onto your hands, which is really annoying, which just shouldn't really happen. So that doesn't seem to be occurring with this wheel, so hopefully it won't degrade too terribly over time as well. As we were just talking about the wheel rim on the R3, you can switch this out and also use other steering wheels available in the ecosystem. So if you aren't too satisfied by the one included in the box, you maybe want a bigger one, a Formula 1 style one. They've even got a really cool one that's specifically used for like Euro Truck Simulator. It's like a truck steering wheel. It's like almost full size. You can obviously switch that out and throw it onto this wheelbase because it does have a quick release system. This is one of the major advantages of a product system like this. You can get the entry-level steering wheel kit, and then over time upgrade different elements of it and slowly but surely build out the ultimate and most insane racing simulator for your desires and needs. Now, in terms of connectivity on the wheelbase, there are a bunch of ports at the rear that allow you to adopt additional accessories from the Moza racing ecosystem. This includes things such as dashboards, shifters, and handbrakes, just to name a few. Now, interestingly, this wheelbase actually uses like a Type B USB connection rather than USB Type C, which I was actually quite surprised by considering it literally launched in 2024. But regardless of this, we actually have loads of connections for additional accessories to pair with the Moza ecosystem. And probably the most useful feature is this power button. As crazy as this sounds, there are loads of steering wheel bases that do not have an on and off switch. So as soon as you're finished using it, you have to unplug it from the wall, unplug it from the console, otherwise it stays on 24/7. First game that I went ahead and tried out was Dirt Rally 2.0. This is one of my personal favorite racing games available on Xbox Game Pass right now, and I felt that this title specifically would give me a good representation of the speed of this steering wheel, how responsive it was in terms of the pace that I was trying to turn the
the vehicle at. Now, of course, with this being a off-road dirt game, it's quite difficult sometimes to get a sense of how strong the steering wheel is, because inherently when you're doing off-roading, the dirt track feels quite light under the tires. It isn't like when you're racing on tarmac or asphalt surfaces in other track racing games. But obviously when you get air and the car slams down on the floor, this is where you get those big clunks and harsher forces that come through very apparent on a strong steering wheel base like this.
Right, so because we've got the app integration available on this steering wheel, it allowed me to basically boot up a preset for rally games, and then that's now basically linked the perfect wheels of rotation for Dirt Rally 2.0 here, so the wheel's tracking perfectly.
I did crank all the settings up to the max on the wheelbase, and I felt like it was pretty much perfect.
It's pretty silent. You can probably hear my PC louder than the actual wheel. That's because it isn't belt driven. So when you have a belt driven steering wheel, you get you get all of that, the gears and motors doing stuff.
It was more than strong enough, but not too strong or not too weak. It just sat perfectly in a great position, which would be great for someone who's got their very first steering wheel and they're not used to the strength of these forces. Now, I'm coming from some very advanced direct drive steering wheels, so I'm used to way larger newton meters of torque. So of course, I'm going to notice a degree of a decrease, but if you've never had a steering wheel or you're coming from a belt-driven steering wheel, oh my word, you're going to see a night and day difference with the performance here.
So I've now actually got a little bit of damage to my car here in Dirt Rally, so I'm feeling way more pressure on the actual wheel because obviously the car's dragging to one side. So this is now actually showing off the detail that the direct drive has.
Now, because this is an officially licensed Xbox product, there are a huge range of compatible games that are supported straight out of the box. These are available to view on the official Moza Racing website. So here you can check that the steering wheel will work natively with your favorite games with their own preset and everything.
This is working. You can see it's controlling our Xbox dashboard, just literally using the D-pad. Got all the other buttons here because it's officially sort of licensed to Xbox, so all the buttons and stuff are mapped up just like a regular Xbox controller, so it's native in terms of it being calibrated straight out the box.
This is great because it ensures that all of the 22 fully customizable buttons that are on the steering wheel are working and configured correctly for those games.
Right, so we're going to go ahead and tear this desk setup down now and actually put the wheel onto a simulator where I think the performance will be even better, because sometimes when you even put steering wheels onto a sim rig, the forces just feel much stronger because they actually almost vibrate through the entire simulator, so you sometimes feel it a little bit in the body of the seat that you're in. So overall, you just get a little bit more sensation of the forces, as crazy as that sounds, versus it just being on your desk and everything being obviously disconnected. So while I wait for Force to install, I need to head home and get my bags packed, because I need to leave for the airport pretty soon. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to actually have to go and not be able to test this product as much as I would like within the first few days. I've got to head out to Taiwan for a factory tour with Intel, so I'm only here for a couple more hours and the steering wheel literally just arrived.
Now, you may be thinking, what's the relevance of this segment of the video, a trip to Taiwan? But let me explain. While I was there, I came across this insane simulator at one of the factories. Now, this simulator was built from a real race car, and it was using the Moza R3 as the steering wheel of choice built inside of it. Now, one of the most interesting things about this was how they were using the Moza steering wheel in combination with AI technology. And this AI technology was acting as a brain, or more of a coach, to actually improve your driving in real time. The AI would give you feedback in the form of an actual human being voice.
Drop an application. Focus on hitting the apex at minimum speed for the best exit.
As to how you could take the corner quicker, enter it better, exit it better, your braking technique, your accelerating technique, and it was monitoring all the telemetry data coming from the steering wheels and the pedals, and then converting that into actual feedback that you could learn from. It was a real-life driver coach, but in the form of an AI. This was insane and shows the capability of how AI is beginning to be leveraged in multiple different softwares now, and how it could completely replace the need of having to pay someone per hour to give you sim racing racing coaching, you could just literally get this from this AI app, and it would be more than good enough, especially for some hobbyists. Thought it was worth mentioning, and also the fact that they were also using the exact steering wheel that we're reviewing in today's video. It all just sort of seemed to match very nice. But now let's get back to the UK.
3 weeks later.
So I've now spent quite a bit of time with the Moza R3, and I must admit, I think the steering wheel is fantastic, especially when you consider the price point that it comes in at. Now, for $399, you get absolutely everything that we've looked at in today's video. That includes the steering wheel, the wheelbase, the basic pedal set, and of course, the table clamp as well. This is all included straight out of the box for your $399. So when you compare this to something like a Logitech G923, which is a very popular, probably one of the best-selling entry-level first beginner steering wheels that somebody would purchase, that this directly competes with, it blows that product out of the water. Very similar price point, but of course, it's direct drive, not belt-driven, so its performance is off scale. Now, probably one of my favorite features of the Moza R3 is definitely the app integration that it has got. It's got this really cool app that you can install on your phone or on a tablet, so you can just Bluetooth your tablet to the wheelbase, and then you can adjust all of the settings on the fly. So you can adjust the strength of the force feedback, the wheels of rotation, different dampenings, all sorts of different stuff. And then of course, you can also boot up different presets within the app, so you can recall your favorite settings and also launch into stuff for your favorite games, literally with a click of a button. And if you do use this on a PC, there is also a PC desktop app where you can achieve all of the same things and tweak the same parameters. Now, probably the weakest point of the R3 bundle for me personally is the pedal set. The pedal set is pretty bog standard. It's just an accelerator and a pretty rubbish feeling brake. Now, thankfully, you can upgrade the pedal set with the additional clutch kit. So this means you just move the brake pedal into the middle, add the clutch kit onto it, and then you can add a little dampener to upgrade the strength of that brake so it feels much more realistic. Does a good job of improving the overall experience, and it's very easy to set up. It doesn't take too long, a couple of screws, moving the pedals around and plug a few cables here or there, and the job is done. So it's great that option is there. Now, a huge discussion point and comparison that I see across YouTube when it comes to this Moza R3 steering wheel is that the Fanatec DD Pro is a comparable product or a more powerful, better product that you should purchase. Now, this is a really interesting discussion point because I think a few people miss a few factors when it actually comes to purchasing the Fanatec products and shipping them into your country. So on the website, these steering wheels look very similar in price, very comparable, but obviously the Fanatec wheelbase is 5 Newton meters of base strength, and then if you purchase the additional power supply, you can upgrade it to 8 Newton meters of torque. Now, I personally own the Fanatec DD Pro. I've used it since launch, about 2-3 years now. I've had it for absolutely ages. But the biggest issue is that power supply. Yes, it's around £150, I think, but when you factor in trying to get it in from Europe into the UK, I don't know if it's the same for the countries that you purchase your products in, America or whatever, but when you try and get products from Europe into the UK, from Fanatec in particular, you have to pay a huge amount of import tax. So the power supply is nearer to £200 to get that 8 Newton meters of torque. So you alone right here from just the power supply, you're entering a whole different stratosphere of budget required to actually purchase that Fanatec product. So it's all good and well being like, oh, it's great that it's got more power, but you're outlaying almost half the price of the base bundle kit here of the R3 just to unlock that additional power with a power supply, which is insane. And then of course, the steering wheels, the pedal sets, the wheelbases, all of those products from Fanatec also have shipping costs and also the import tax attached onto those as well. So those also have a huge increase of how much they actually cost in reality when you have to get it into your countries. It's all good and well comparing the prices on the website, but the reality for the customer is the Fanatec products are way more expensive actually getting it shipped to your doorstep. So I feel like the Moza R3 is insane value for the place in the marketplace that it's occupying, and the fact that it is a direct drive and the build quality that it is with its aluminium build construction is incredibly impressive that they've managed to achieve this and still price it very competitively. Now, I'll leave links down below to all of the products mentioned in today's video where you can find out and learn more about them. But if you want to see me try out one of the craziest sim racing setups in the world, it's a full-size Formula 1 car that moves. You should check out this video next and subscribe for more videos just like this one.